What's going on, everyone? So, Scary Movie 6 is right around the corner, and I'm very excited for it. I'm a big fan of the Scary Movie franchise, particularly the Wayans Brothers version, Scary Movie 1 and 2. I think Scary Movie, the original, is a genuine classic. Like, I literally, and it sucks because Scream is my favorite horror franchise. I mean, I've even built this channel on the horror franchise, but literally, every time I watch Scream, like, you have those moments that, are very mirrored in Scary Movie, and it ruins it every single time. Like, I am a big fan of the Scary Movie franchise, obviously the Scream franchise. I'm glad that it's back in the hands of the Wayans brothers. I'm really excited to see, us try to get back to comedy a little bit as far as movies go. Like, we're in this world where, like, comedy movies just aren't what they used to be. And part of that is just, times have changed, things have changed. You have, kind of the loudest groups, the cancel culture, but a lot of that is, I feel, is moving out of the way, especially like with comedy and comedians in particular. They've kind of like led the charge in that. And I'm not saying like you should do things like, just blatantly, derogatory or, like there is over the top extremities, but there is also just funny comedic moments, right? There's things that, you look at things like The Hangover or like, Tropic Thunder, right? Like, if you try to make a Tropic Thunder today, people would lose their minds. But it's such a great classic. And it wasn't like derogatory. It was just a good old comedy, that people love to this day. People enjoy. And it's like, The Hangover and those kind of movies were kind of like the last wave of that. And I'm hoping that, Scary Movie, kind of that tongue-in-cheek comedy, I'm hoping it's not like, I'm hoping it gets back to kind of the roots, right? Where you have kind of these comedic jokes and stuff. Again, there's punching down and then there's just kind of even playing fields of comedy, and we'll see how that goes. But I want to talk about Melissa Barrera, right? So obviously she was in Scream 5 and 6. She was supposed to be the face and she was supposed to be the one moving forward. And then obviously the falling out with the studios and stuff. And now there are kind of rumors going around that Melissa Barrera is expected to be and playing a role in the upcoming Scary Movie 6, right? Now, what's funny is we talked about it here, the collective, all that stuff where, hey, what if she actually did that? As soon as we got the announcement for Scary Movie 6, it talked about like, it'd be kind of funny, kind of ironic, kind of like, hey, to kind of poke fun and make fun of, the situation and light itself. And there's kind of like these two camps now. Right? There's people that think like, oh, she's, ruining any chance she has of going back to Scream. And, or like, look at, Neve Campbell and Sidney Prescott. She went, and they had a falling out. They were able to rectify it and went back. Right? But the Sidney situation and the Melissa Barrera situation are two very vastly different situations, right? I'm not here to get into all that stuff and all the politics and everything like that. Again, that's not what this channel is. It's about just talking horror and having fun and fun conversations. But if you're familiar with the Melissa Barrera situation and you're familiar with the Sidney, the Neve Campbell situation, one was just about being shortchanged. The other one is about, political stance and thoughts on a very, specific topic, right? Trying to, again, I don't want to dive into it, but like the point is that like Melissa Barrera's thing is not something that I think is just easily rectified, right? Because she, time kind of eliminates everything. And over time, you're eventually gonna, people will stop caring like what she said, whether you agree or disagree. Like eventually people will, forget about it and you can just move on. Right. And so that's kind of like the logic of like, oh, in a year or two, enough time will pass where people will forget about it. No one will care anymore either way. And she can now go back to the Scream franchise. But one, is that something she'd want to do? Two, they're clearly going in a new direction with Sidney Prescott. And I think her daughter is going to end up being the face. Could, Sam have a cameo at some point? Sure, possibly. But I think both sides are done and moved on. Right. So I'm fine with her going back in a Scary Movie and, kind of having this comedic moment, kind of poking fun at herself and, the Scream 5 and 6. And I've also seen people talk about kind of like the disconnect with 5 and 6. And, there's already people, it's already losing its stock, so to speak. And if Melissa Barrera goes and starts making fun of it and stuff like that, then you're going to end up, that could potentially cost the stock even more. But again, that goes into make better movies, right? Like if Scream 5 and 6 weren't terrible, right? Like then guess what? The stock wouldn't be going down, right? Audiences gravitate towards things that are good. The original Scream, it didn't have social media. It didn't have the marketing budgets and levels that they do now. It did better the longer it was in theaters. Why? Because of word of mouth. Like, people forget, like, there was a time, and I'm old enough to know, there was a time before social media and all this other stuff where if you wanted to know about a good movie, you read in the newspaper, you had like a little TV show, or your buddy was like, dude, you really got to go see this movie, right? That's how it worked. And it still in a lot of ways works that way. If you make a good movie, if you build it, they will come. That's how it works. Right? So if 5 and 6, and look, there's people that love 5 and 6, right? I've been very critical of 5 and 6. I mean, like, for like a 5th and 6th installment, they're good, but just like the movie elements, especially 6, I'm not a fan of 6. 5 was okay. I just didn't like that it was essentially 96 2.0, and I get it was a homage and a fan film and all that stuff, but I've made my opinions very obvious and very clear about 5 and 6. I don't think that they were great movies. I don't think that they were atrocious or anything like that, but I don't think that they were, the fact that their stock is bad or people are concerned that Scary Movie 6 could ruin the stock of 5 and 6 tells me everything you need to know. The original Scary Movie didn't ruin the stock of Scream, because Scream is still a testament to its time, right? It still lasted all these years, right? Like, yes, it ruined some moments, like I mentioned earlier, like, yeah, it's just like, but I still love Scary. It's not like I look at Scream now and I'm like, man, that movie sucks because of Scary. Like, no, it's a great movie, and they did a great parody of a said great movie, and so both can coexist. If Scream 5 and 6 were stronger films, and Scary Movie 6 pokes fun of it, it's not going to lower the stock of Scream 5 and 6. It's just because they're not very good movies, right? And the consensus is like, they're like, more and more people are starting to realize they're not very good movies. Like, they're not, again, they're fun. Like, they're, popcorn films, or, hey, it's on, here you go, it's on Netflix, let's watch it. But it's not something people are like rushing to go see again, right? If they re-released it in theaters, people aren't going to be running to the door to go watch it again in theaters. But we see every couple years, right? They re-release Scream 96, they re-release Scream 2, re-release Scream 3, and people flock and go see it, right? Because those are films that, lasted the test of time, right? And then the last thing that I keep seeing from people is the divide, right? You have like the Sydney camp, and you have the Sam camp, and you have, there's just this divide and rift in the Scream community. Newsflash, like, it's always going to be that way, right? I don't like it. I think it's foolish, right? I think, you can love either character. You could dislike either character. Like I've talked about, like, I love Sydney. I grew up with Sydney, but I think that they should move off of Sydney. I think that they should move a different direction. That doesn't mean that I am not excited that she's back in the film. That doesn't mean that, I don't like Sidney Prescott. Again, you can be in one camp or the other and not have to, throw spitballs on the other side, right? Like, but that's just the internet. It's how it works. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. No matter what, there's going to be divides. There was divides when Nev in the studio had their disconnect. There were divides when, Melissa Barrera in the studio had their disconnect. There were divides when Sydney came back. No matter what happens, there's always going to be divides. There's always going to be people. And that's just film period. That's art period, right? Like I mentioned with Scream 5 and 6. I'm not a huge fan of Scream 5 and 6, especially 6. I think 6 is just, the more I watch 6, the worse the movie gets. Like, every time I watch 6, I'm like, this is just a really bad movie, right? And I've broken it down into details. I did a whole video deep diving into it, but, right, like, again, there's many of you that are watching this video right now that are like, hey, like, I love 5 and 6, and that's great. Like, we can both exist. Right? Like, I don't need to go to you and be like, well, your opinion's invalid. Like, it doesn't, like, you don't like, if you love it, I love that you love it. That's great. The fact that I don't like it should have zero impact on you loving it, right? Like, it's just, again, if it's something you love, like, we can both coexist, but there's always going to be a divide no matter what. There's always going to be two camps. There's going to be people that love something. There's going to be people that hate something. There's going to be people that are team this, team Edward, team Jacob. That's how it works, right? That's how these things stay relevant. That's how conversations continue to be folded. So I think Melissa Barrera going and jumping into Scary Movie 6, I think is really good. I do. I think it's really good for her and kind of, I think it'll be great for Scary Movie 6 because you're going to have all the camps, whatever side you're on. We're all going to be curious, right? So we're all going to go check it out, right? So no matter what, I think it's really good for just Scary Movie 6, Melissa Barrera, and I do think it'll be good for Scream. It's good promotion for Scream, right? If anything, it might help Scream 5 and 6, right? Because people, you might get people that are like, okay, fine, I'll give it another watch or something. Like, it might boost the stock of Scream 5 and 6 a little bit. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? If you have any thoughts, agree with me, disagree with me, kind of mix in the middle. Either way, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.